Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys joining me for today's episode. Got a little bit of a different type of video today. Guys, I'm going to make the case why the Bassmaster Elite Series pros and the Bass Pro Tour pros are not near as good as what people think they are. They're not near as good as what the public thinks they are, and that what is called the weekend series, like the the BFLs and that type of stuff, actually have just as good or better bass anglers. And I'm going to dig into this in today's video and give you guys my opinion on that. Also, guys, for get started, just a couple quick housekeeping tips. I just want to let you guys know that Tackle Warehouse has got a bunch of 20% off sales across the board there. If you guys are looking to buy some rod and reels or raincoats or tackle or lures or whatever, it's a good time to do it. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to use and bookmark that link. And also, guys, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message. Okay, guys, I want to do this video because I want to give credit where credit is due, and I want to sort of give a reality check to everybody on the level of competition that exists on what is called the top level versus like the weekend level. Now, what we have seen here, there's been an evolutionary process in this that has taken place where the skill set and the skill level amongst all bass anglers in this country there's hardly no daylight between it. It's not like it was 25 years ago where there was a huge separation. I roll my wind up here, the traffic's noisy. 20 or 25 years ago, guys, there was a huge separation in talent level in terms of what people understood about seasonal movements and patterns of fish, casting abilities, the ability to to dissect lakes quick, to find fish quick. There was a big difference between like the Bassmaster tournament trail and like the Red Man Circuit or the BFLs, but guys, not at all anymore. And I want to talk about that a little bit, and I want to really explain to you guys why this is not a good thing for the sport. Now, guys, I feel like I'm very well versed to speak on this because I have fished at all levels. I fished at Bassmaster top 150s, top 100s, Bassmaster Elite 50s, Bassmaster Classics, FLW Tour, Forest Wood Cups. I'm fishing BFLs now, Plains Division. I fish literally at every different level. And the thing that I can tell you in 2025 is that the skill level between a BFL circuit, say for example, if you came down here and fished the Ozark division of the BFLs that I'm fishing right now, I'm making the point and I'm making the case that if you took the top 50 or whatever, how many people out of the Ozark division of the BFL versus the top 50 of the Bassmaster Elite Series or the top 50 of the Bass Pro Tour, the BFL guys would do just as well. There's just not any difference between the skill levels of those two. And there's this illusion that's created within the public that these people are so much better than everybody else, and they're simply not. In fact, they may not be as good at it. Because when you're talking in terms of how people rose to that particular level, right now in 2025, the majority of the people that are entering the top tier level in the sports have gotten there through forward-facing sonar. As forward-facing sonar, fans, they simply do not have the awareness of seasonal patterns and seasonal movements of bass because they don't have that dirt time under the belt. Let's say, for example, if you're 22 years old and you've qualified for the Bassmaster Elite Series through the Opens, and that you did that mainly through the use of forward-facing sonar, and let's say you've been bass fishing for 5 or 6 years, you simply don't have the ability to understand the nuances of seasonal patterns of movements and bait profiles and water displacement and casting angles and dissecting different types of cover as somebody like that fishes the BFL that may have been doing it for 25 years and they're constantly in the top 10, because those people understand that. They understand those subtle details that only come from time on the water. Therefore, technology has aided a lot in that taking place. But the other thing with that is, the information access has been so much greater in terms of allowing people to cut the learning time down. And so you've gotten this deal now where it's like there's just simply not much difference in the skill levels. And this is something that's unique to fishing, because any other sport out there, you can't fake it. It's like you can't fake playing in the NFL versus playing in high school, or you can't fake being a professional bowler on the PBA lane conditions versus being some dude that does good on house conditions, or anything like that. But you can do that in bass fishing, because there's no type of standard to measure that by. And ultimately, this is the difference. It's like when you talk about the difference between what is called a tour level pro, Bass Pro Tour or Elite Series, versus like a weekend series, buddy tournament circuit or whatever. You're talking about perception of the public, and you're talking about people that have the ability to do that. Guys, I can tell you right now, I have known dozens of guys that fish nowhere else but here in Missouri. I'll use the example of my mentor, Terry Thomas. Terry Thomas would have been like a Kevin Van Dam level angler, except he didn't want to. He didn't want to travel. He didn't want to be away from his family. He had a full-time job. He wasn't set up in other aspects of his life to do that. There is tons of people like that out there in terms of their primal pure skill levels are so far above what is considered some of the top level pros now. But they may have a family and they don't want to be away from their family. They may have a good job with some job security. They don't want to do it. They may not want to travel 200 days a year. They don't want to, put up with everything that you have to put up with to be a professional bass angler. So therefore, they do it on a local level. They love to compete, but they don't want to do it on a national level. That does not mean that they are not better than the people that do that. This is the fundamental flaw in bass fishing and professional fishing that has stopped it, that has kept it from elevating to a true professional level. So how can you do that? How, what can happen? What could possibly happen for there to be this separation in terms of skill levels of the weekend dude versus the tour level angler? And the answer is there's not. There's no way that you can set that. There's no way that you can equate that, because there's no way to accurately judge what that skill level actually is. I mean, you can't take somebody that dominates on the BFL circuit and then, figure out some way how they could do on the tour level unless you talk to them and see them operating in the water. It's like when you talk with somebody that is a expert angler, it shines through immediately. I don't care what level they're on. It's like you talk to somebody that has an awareness of every detail of bass fishing, and especially understanding of the fish, understanding what generates strikes, understanding how bass react to different colors and retrieves and cadences like that. When you talk to somebody like that, that is knowledge and that is skill, especially if you see them executing those particular movements along with boat positioning and casting angles. Then there's no separation between the two. It'd be like somebody getting out there with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and, okay, let's see how far you guys can throw a football and how accurate you can throw it. It's going to show up immediately. And it's the same with professional fishing. And I'll just come out and say it right now. The skill level amongst the current level of bass anglers that are considered some of the top anglers in the world are not near as good as what people think they are. They're aided by artificial technology. And people say all the time, oh, Randy, you're full of it. It's like, those guys out there, they do just as good if they didn't have that technology. No, they wouldn't. You can't say that. That is nothing but speculation, because there is no way that all of a sudden you can do all these other diverse techniques that are out there if you've never done it before. If you don't understand the nuances of flipping and pitching heavy flooded cover, you're 22 years old, you've never done that, how can you expect to be an expert at it if you don't have any seasons under your belt, where you've been there and seen that and seen different water levels and different current levels and different water visibility levels and different type of structures? You cannot just pick that up immediately. And there's a lot of people that defend, some of the younger anglers or the high-tech anglers, saying they're just as good. Nah, they're not. You can't. There's no metric you can measure that by with any level of critical thinking skills to say that's true. So what I'm saying in this is, professional fishing is unique to itself. It's never going to be professional baseball. It's never going to be professional football. There are too many things that hold it back. And until that we develop some type of a pure system to really allow true talent to emerge to the top, it's never going to change. But the way the structure is set up right now, the way the qualifying is set up right now, the way that we have this unbelievable income disparity and financial elitism in professional fishing, we're never going to see who's truly the best out there. I have been privileged, guys, to fish with some of the best bass anglers in this country, some of the top bass anglers in this country. And it only is obvious to a trained eye what is true talent. You cannot identify true talent unless you know what true talent is, and that only comes from fishing for decades and decades, because bass fishing is one of the most difficult sports in the world in terms of on the pure level of it. It's like technology makes it seem like it's not that difficult at times, but guys, you take away technology and then you have to realize on your senses and your instincts and your knowledge of fish movement and behavior based upon the fact that you fished to find out what that behavior is. It is a difficult, complex, complicated sport that takes years and decades to learn. And right now we have cheapened the sport by cutting down that learning curve through technology. Let me repeat that. We have cheapened what the sport of bass fishing is because technology has been a crutch, and it has shortened that learning curve, and that's not a good thing out there. That diminishes and demeans what the true top level pros or top level anglers in this country are. And another thing, guys, I fish, like I said, with some of the best anglers in the world here in Missouri. And I've also been friends and fished with some of the best anglers in the world that are professional anglers. And I can tell you right now, as somebody that's fished with both of them, that some of the local anglers that I have fished with would absolutely destroy any of the top level pros if you put them head to head with them. I've seen it. I understand that. I understand what true talent is. So that's just one of the realities of our sport. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that up. Thought you guys might find that interesting, and we'll check in later. See y'all.